One thing that I notice in your music videos is this imagery of you falling to your death. Is there anywhere that comes from? Does that represent anything?
I've explored death a lot, and this very well could be my last album.
Okay.
There's a world where this is probably gonna be it.
On June 14th, 2026, the music world would wake up to some shocking news. Oliver Tree, one of the most controversial artists of this generation, was reportedly amongst 6 people killed after 2 helicopters collided in Brazil. He was only 32 years old, but fans around the world still felt so confused and so shocked, as Oliver was known to be a big prankster and loved pulling publicity stunts. But unfortunately, this was not a publicity stunt. And what makes this tragedy even more heartbreaking was the timing. After years of battling industry expectations, label disputes, and public criticism, Oliver Tree finally achieved something he had been fighting for years: independence. Just weeks before his death, he had left Atlantic Records and released music through his own label. For the first time in years, it seemed like he was doing things completely on his own terms. But this is the story of Oliver Tree, his frustration with the music industry, and the tragic ending that no one saw coming. Before he became Oliver Tree, he was Oliver Tree Nickel. Born in Santa Cruz, California, Oliver grew up surrounded by art, skateboarding, alternative culture. Long before the viral fame, he was experimenting with music and performing under different aliases. But Oliver never wanted to be a typical pop star. While many artists chased trends, Oliver built a character that looked almost ridiculous. The bowl haircut, the oversized glasses, the loud clothing, the scooter, everything about him seemed designed to make people feel uncomfortable. Oliver once explained that he intentionally tried to look as ridiculous as possible because he felt everyone else was trying too hard to look perfect. The character worked, people laughed, people shared clips, and eventually millions of people discovered him and his music behind the jokes and the virality. Everything changed when Oliver signed with Atlantic Records in 2017. His music combined alternative rock, electronic production, hip-hop influence, and dark humor. Nobody sounded quite like him. Songs like Hurt, Alien Boy, and When I'm Down helped build a devoted fan base. But it wasn't until Life Goes On that exploded online and on TikTok that Oliver became a global phenomenon. The song generated billions of streams and became one of the most recognizable viral hits of this decade. Suddenly, Oliver Tree wasn't just this internet personality, he was a mainstream artist. He was going into festivals, world tours, he had millions of monthly listeners, and a fan base that stretched across the globe. But behind success, problems were beginning to grow a little. For many years, Oliver maintained a complicated relationship with Atlantic Records. Publicly, he often joked about the music industry. Beneath the humor, it was genuine frustration. By 2026, that frustration became impossible to hide. Oliver revealed that he had this new album that had been stuck in the label negotiations. He claimed for years they were at risk of never being released. The project was deeply personal to him. Then came the conflict. Oliver publicly criticized the situation surrounding the album's release and suggested that the industry prioritized other things and creativity was not one of them.
I just got word that my album is no longer coming out. Love You Madly, Hate You Badly is officially canceled, and I'm parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare. I have no marketing budgets for music videos, no digital ad spend. Nobody really cares in the building, it seems like. I made a lot of money for Atlantic Records, and they don't seem to remember that. I have gotten no support. They forgot to ingest multiple songs into the system, which means the songs didn't come out. Put it in. I don't really understand how that's possible. I've made them tens of millions of dollars, but they don't remember that. So, the music is owned by them. The remainder of the music will not be coming out.
Fans quickly rallied behind him. Many believed that artists just like him who had generated millions of streams for the music industry deserved better control. The battle eventually reached a turning point because after negotiations, Oliver announced that the album would no longer be tied to Atlantic Records. Instead, it would be released independently through his own record label, Alien Boy Records. For Oliver, it wasn't just one album, it was about freedom, creative freedom, ownership, control. After years inside the major label system, he finally had what he wanted, and fans celebrated the victory.
I left my record label, let's talk about it. After making tens of millions of dollars over 8 years for Atlantic Records, they no longer want to support my art because I'm not making songs for TikTok. And after dedicating my entire life to making art, I never got into this to make TikTok songs. I know the effects of TikTok. I've had multiple songs that connected there, but that's not why I got into making art. Over the last 2.5 years, I traveled 82 countries and recorded this album on all 7 continents. These are the types of projects that charge me as an artist. This is why I got into it in the first place. And just because I'm not making songs for TikTok means that the label doesn't want to support the vision. My team has got the label to agree to release Love You Madly, Hate You Badly on my personal imprint, Alien Boy Records. You guys, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This music is finally going to see daylight. So support your local indie artists and go pre-order my album. April 24th is the official date. I love you all.
What nobody knew was that this next chapter in his life would be tragically short. In April 2026, Oliver released Love You Madly, Hate You Badly. This album represented a fresh start, no longer tied to the label relationship that frustrated him, no longer waiting for approval, no longer compromising. At the same time, he launched a massive world tour. The tour stretched across continents and featured dozens of performances. Fans described him as energized, excited, focused on the future, and everything he had been through. Oliver finally appeared to be entering a new phase into his career. Then suddenly, everything changed. On June 14th, 2026, 2 helicopters collided in Rio de Janeiro. According to authorities, all 6 people involved in the crash lost their lives. Oliver Tree was listed as one of the victims. News of the accident spread rapidly over social media. Fans refused to believe it. Some thought it was another Oliver Tree joke or maybe a publicity stunt. Others hoped the reports were wrong, but confirmations soon followed by his management team and former label representatives. The artist who had spent years making people laugh was suddenly gone. Oliver Tree leaves behind a unique legacy. He wasn't the biggest artist in the world, but he may have been one of the most original. He challenged beauty standards, he mocked celebrity culture, he blurred the lines between comedy and music, and he built an audience by refusing to fit into any category. In one of his final interviews, Oliver spoke about creating a foundation that would support artists after his death, saying he wanted his success to help future generations create art. Looking back now, those words feel extremely powerful, because despite the jokes, despite the costumes, despite the chaos, Oliver Tree genuinely believed in creativity and art. His final months were spent fighting for ownership of his music, fighting for artistic independence. His story ended far too soon, but for millions of fans, the music, the honor, the message still remains. Do things differently, create fearlessly, and never let anyone tell you who you're supposed to be. Oliver Tree, gone too soon, but never forgotten. Rest in peace to this legend.